can't think of any more human activity than conducting science experiments.
The game I play is a very interesting one. It's imagination in a tight straitjacket.
The beauty of a living thing is not the atoms that go into it, but the way those atoms are put together.
What I always think should be the basis of education is not answers, but questions. We should teach kids how to question.
Welcome to Blab Codes. My name is Amit Siddiqui. In this abridged episode, Meow talks about science and politics and why Neil deGrasse Tyson needs to get involved in politics. To listen to the full episode, go to blabcodes.com and subscribe to our podcast. I hear Neil deGrasse Tyson, he had this conversation with Sam Harris about how he doesn't get involved in politics and how his approach is, to stay away from it so that he can get a bigger audience and educate people about science. But obviously you have a different approach.
Yeah, well, I think that's typical fucking boomer rhetoric. Like, I'll do as I say, not as I do. And, like, if he really wanted to make a difference, he would fucking run, right? It's a bit tricky in America because you have a two-party system. But, like, if Arnold Schwarzenegger can become governor of California, Neil deGrasse Tyson could be, minister for science.
He's a rock star.
Yeah, exactly. And he's got a high public profile. He cares. He's smart. Like, don't tell people, we need more scientists in politics and don't do it. Because, like, he can still do everything he's doing now and more by joining politics. And, like, he doesn't have to, but there's no reason why he shouldn't. And I think it lacks integrity. He's an amazing guy, but, like, why wouldn't you use that position of power? Other thing, Nobel Prize winners, they're the types of people that should join politics because effectively when you win your Nobel Prize, your scientific career is over and you become an evangelist for science. That's your role. To go around the world, sitting in functions as a Nobel laureate, getting up, giving keynote presentations, saying you need to donate more money to science. So I feel Neil deGrasse Tyson's in that same category, and he should run for fucking politics. Right. Like, he's like, we need more cunts in politics, we need more scientists in politics, da-da-da. Yeah, I didn't see him coming out and supporting Science Party or me when I ran, and we definitely, like, let him know that we'd listen to what he said. So, yeah, follow through. Come on. Come visit my lab, cunt.
Well, he's coming on the 29th. So.
Oh, yeah. not to visit me.
Like, to make money and to spread science knowledge.
Yeah, and it's good and it's fun. But I also kind of like Biofoundry sits in a different space, which is we're not pitched at, like, the lowest common denominator. Now, you do need that, right? You do need a certain amount. And what I'd actually love is for everyone in Australia to have a higher level of scientific education, because then we can do even better things. And I think it's actually a civic responsibility and duty to study science for every single person, as it is to do jury duty, community service, art, be a functional member of your community. You should have a base level of scientific knowledge. And if we had that, places like Biofoundry would be able to do even cooler stuff. And I feel like Neil deGrasse Tyson has to pander to the lowest. Yeah. It'd be better if the medium was shifted and we could actually have really good conversations about, things like square kilometre array. What do we want to look for? What are the really important answers to be had? And I wouldn't mind people being against GMO if the whole of the country's scientific literacy was increased. Right. Because there are real conversations that we have to have about GM. Yeah. It's things like, what promoters are we using? Yeah. How does that affect things like horizontal gene transfer in the environment? And there's a low chances and stuff. Yep. But these are the questions we should be having, not like, is it safe to eat it? Because clearly it fucking is. Yeah. A trillion meals have been served with GMO without any bad effects. You can never prove it's safe. You can only prove it's dangerous. So it's good enough for me.
It's interesting you say. The scientific literacy that people lack in our society, and I think this is a global issue, it can lead to really some downstream effects that consequences that we don't want to have. And this is going back to your getting involved in politics. I think that's a beautiful attempt to change a society in the way that we want it, to have a more literate society and, to influence policy in such a way that reflects the science.
Definitely.
Not people's idea of what science is and misconceptions of what science is.
And we're seeing this fucking with everywhere, like Trump, right? Like things like the fake news, alternative facts, Just like what the fuck? This is nonsense, right? Like, how does this? It's a circus.
Yeah.
This is a time when ordinary people have to stand up. Like, it's scary when sometimes people like Jackie Lambie are representing me better in politics just because they're an ordinary person, right?
Yeah.
Like someone who's not fucking drunk the Kool-Aid and doing this on there with maybe the sole purpose of getting reelected rather than actually wanting to make change. They're just playing the politics game, they're career politicians.
That's right.
And I think the problem is actually career politics.
That's it, yeah.
So, and this is why people like Neil deGrasse Tyson have to get off their ass and do it. And if there's anything that you can take away from like the interviews, like fuck, all these things I've done literally came about by, instead of just like thinking or talking about it, just getting up and doing it, meeting other people who are also doing the same thing. And there's a lot of them out there, and then doing it, like, just set up a Facebook event, go along to a political meeting, like through all these things, good stuff happens. But if you're sitting at home on Facebook, it's not always going to eventuate. It can, but it's a lot harder. And I think the best thing is, if you're interested and keen in these ideas, go out and meet other people. If there aren't people around, set up a meeting group for those people. Jump on Meetup, jump on Reddit, organize a meeting group, go have some beers if that's what you're into. I certainly am.
Yeah.
Get drunk, make some friends, meet other people outside your circles, encourage your friends to share it. Don't be scared.
That's right.
And even if 4 people turn up, they might be the four most interesting people in your entire city. So you should do it.
Yeah.
And through that, like, you actually have change. Like, I'm changing the world. People listen to what I have to say.
Yeah.
And it wasn't difficult, to be honest. Like, really, it's a little bit of work across a long time, consistently, taking risk, not worrying about little things like eating or paying rent. but really, like, don't, it's not bad to be poor.
Yeah.
It's not bad to be poor. I don't own a nice car.
Yeah.
I have very little money to spend on my hobbies, but I have a really fun, interesting life, and I feel very satisfied every day. So,
thanks for listening to Blab Codes. Rate and review our podcast on iTunes or wherever you get your podcast, because it does help us spread the word. And if you like what we're doing here, then help us grow it by sharing this with a friend of a friend, or your mailman, even your mailman's mailman. We also want to hear from you, so send us questions or comments to blabcodes@gmail.com. And if you have any interesting questions or comments, then we'll talk about it on air.